Jodi Hogue. I'm the pastor of Humble Walk Lutheran Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. It's not very noble because when I was just finishing my freshman year of college, I realized my summer options were to go back to my hometown and try and find a job at Dairy Queen or the gas station or as a farmhand, or I could go to a camp and work as a camp counselor. And so I went to a camp to work, and it was a Bible camp, and I loved it so much, but really it was just I wanted to not go home. And so every summer after that, I worked at a Bible camp, and it was there that I learned how to speak of faith and Jesus that I knew in my bones and my being, but I had no language for. But then there was a camp in North Idaho who needed someone to live there full time and work as like manual labor at the camp 4 days a week, and then part-time at a local church in youth ministry. So it was this pilot project they were doing. And I thought, well, I already know I love camp, and somebody told me that North Idaho has mountains, and I want to live in the mountains, so I went. Yeah, in sort of alarming ways. People who had known me my whole life, people who had known me as a church leader, people who were just my friend. It was of course, which I would have never guessed that to be true. I thought this was going to come as like a radical move and a radical shock, but it wasn't true. I mean, they had seen those things within me. So I started the MDiv track at Luther Seminary, and I thought somewhere along the line someone will call my bluff, because really I wanted to just know what I was talking about. I had been teaching in the church for over a decade, and I just felt like a fraud because I had never taken a Bible class. I didn't really know. I just felt like I didn't know the Bible well enough to teach about it. And somewhere along those first classes, it all clicked into place, that I had been called all along and now was in this particular place and time. And it just felt right and good, and I knew I wanted to do it and say yes. Yeah, I think the whole process of, I guess I would have been a second career person. It was really hard to have young children. I had my second daughter during my third year when I was on internship. And while my internship congregation was wildly supportive and just beautiful through that whole thing, it was insane. It was just insane to have a 4-year-old at home and a newborn and to try and do the work. I think that I haven't had to fight. I mean, my mentors who were at the very beginning of the ordination of women, they had to fight so hard to be seen and known and taken seriously, and I reaped the benefit of that, to be certain. There was this moment that I was at an annual conference for youth leaders put on by our denomination, and they did a salary survey. So this is before seminary, when I was a youth minister, and I was crushed by the world when it came back that the percentage of salary was just the same as the world, as in the church, of women being much lower than men. And I had up until that point, I thought, oh, certainly, we know better in church, but it took off the rose-colored glasses for the first time, I think, as a woman, because it didn't occur to me beforehand that there wasn't anything I couldn't do, that, it would just happen. And this, I thought, oh, there are broken pieces all around this. I think of it as we have to scrap and work and fight for everything in our lives, for salary, for position, for power. And this is not that. It is the opposite, and all we can do is receive. And it's hard to describe, and it's hard to receive because it's not the way anything else works. I always think of here's my community, and I think some leaders would say they're the leader and then the community follows, and I think the community is here and I'm just running to catch up with them. Like they're on their way somewhere and they allow me to come along with them and point out God in the midst of it. So I as a legacy, it would be amazing if people knew that I wanted room for them as whole people, as super gifted, and that we made space for them to be who they are within that community.